A year ago, I made a dismember system. Back then, the only approach I knew was the classic one. Manually creating limb actors for every bone, setting up gore caps, Niagara effects, sockets, and carefully aligning everything so it looked just right. I have a video showcasing that on my channel. Now, the system worked, but it took a lot of setup and wasn't very scalable. So I decided to automate the whole process. I created a C++ node exposed to blueprints that handles everything for you. When a bone is broken, it hides the original bone and procedurally spawns a matching mesh in exactly the same position. You can even control the growth selection to decide where the cut happens within the bone limits, and the impulse direction and strength applied to the created limb. Let me quickly show you how it works. Full documentation, setup instructions, and the complete project are available on my Patreon, and everything is also well explained inside the blueprints. When you open the project, you will see the bone system folder, where you have the component. You have also the runtime limb, which is basically the procedural mesh that you create. It has the physics body collision enabled and disabled collision with pawn, so you don't get weird stuff happening. The component, if you open it, you will see here that you need to fill this variable, which is allowed bones to dismember. And I already set it up these ones, but you can add more or remove some of them if you don't like to break them. And you can edit it in any way you like. After that, you will see there's a break bone function, which I can show you better inside the shooting logic. This is the mover character. Inside the graph, I added a shoot function, which is really simple. This is my reticle system logic, so it's included. The camera shake, then a line trace. You set these variables, and then you check if the target has the bone system component, and if so, you apply damage to bone, which is a C++ function inside this parent AC bone damage component. And basically you can have here a damage value, which will be applied to each AC bone systems bone break data structure. And here you can decide which resistance each bone has. And if you want to change the values of the bones, you would want to go into the Visual Studio file and edit the names from the bones. But most skeletal meshes share the same structure, so I guess it's fine. And then if you reach the limit, you basically break the bone, which is checking if the bone is allowed on the bones list, and if it isn't already dismembered, then the C++ node, you can change the selection growth and it will change how many vertices you select. But this is the value that works best for every mesh, so I wouldn't recommend changing that. You can also change the direction. This one is the shot direction, and then the strength for the impulse. And then you mark the bones, because if you, for example, break the upper arm left, you want the lower arm and hand to also be broken, because they're going to be hidden and the complete arm is going to be spawned as a new limb. And then the logic to cripple someone, and this is very basic, but you can simply play here an animation and then change the AI to be now crippled or whatever you like. Last thing is simply having obviously your enemy and adding the bone system, editing the values, and you need to have a skeletal mesh. For example, this is many, but you can have whatever you want here. And you need a physics asset. This one, for example, works really well for a lot of meshes, and you can put it into the enemy you have. And also, your skeletal mesh needs a collision and to block visibility to detect the line trace. And that's it for today. I hope you guys like it. I tried to make the system as simple and as customizable as possible. And remember, the full project and documentation are available on my Patreon. Just keep in mind that metahuman heads aren't currently supported, since they use a separate skeletal mesh and a much more complex skeleton. Also, if your characters use hair meshes or other attached assets, you probably want to hide or destroy those as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.